Satiation and satiety. Numerous studies have recently analyzed what impacts feeling full or satiated. The Cambridge Dictionary defines satiation as the act of completely satisfying yourself with food, accompanied by a feeling of satisfaction. Various hormones regulate satiety and satiation during the process of digestion. Ghrelin and leptin are two hormones which increase or decrease the appetite. Ghrelin increases appetite, whereas leptin decreases it. You are probably familiar with the rule of waiting 20 minutes after eating your main meal before ordering something else, or eating slowly and chewing your food, and counting to 60, or drinking a glass of water before a meal, etc. These are general ways of managing satiety and satiation. Satiation is affected by your senses, by your knowledge and experience with food, and your expectations. We have learned how the senses activates the digestive process. In fact, seeing or smelling food can increase our appetite. As food reaches your stomach, the mechanoreceptors communicate to the brain if the stomach is full. Further in your digestive process, the food reaches the small intestine, and gut hormones related to satiation are released. These hormones are then recognized by specific receptors that communicate to the brain, sending signals to the brain if you are full. This process is also called the satiety cascade. Summarizing that satiety and satiation are influenced by a cascade of sensory, cognitive, post-ingestive, and post-absorptive signals. Marketing, media, and food science are engineering our food in ways that can affect our satiation levels. While I am not claiming that this is intentional, let's have a look at what the latest research has found out. Science has started to analyze factors that affect our levels of satiation, in order to improve the understanding of the topic and to provide solutions for the current problem of overeating. In the following chapters, let's observe what happens to our level of satiation when food stimulates our senses, when the food reaches the stomach, and when the food reaches the small intestine. The following chapters summarize detailed studies of satiation and satiety. The studies presented here have been originated in the last 10 to 20 years to understand obesity better. It is interesting to note that the US military always studied, in detail, mechanisms to ensure that soldiers were eating enough, and in 1995 the results were published in a book. The majority of mechanisms, which increase and decrease satiation described in the newest analysis, which focuses on understanding obesity, are comparable with the one described in the US military study, that focused on ensuring an adequate caloric intake back in the 90s, and some sources are dated back in the 60s. Whereas soldiers need to ensure a high food intake under adverse circumstances, the same does not apply to the average citizen with a sedentary lifestyle. How do you think the food industry could profit from those studies and impact our consumption?